What is a minor chord? Hear that mysterious sound? That's because this is a mystery. If it were not a mystery, I would play a major chord, and it wouldn't sound so mysterious. But the mystery is, what is a minor chord? I've taught you that any chord, major chord, is the first, third, and fifth note of a major scale. I've used the key of C mostly, and that's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Obviously, I'm just being a chicken. I'm using all the white keys, because that way I don't have to think. There's your C major chord. Now, in any scale, there are two different notes you can start on and use only the same keys as work in the original scale. Only the same piano keys, buttons, and you'll get a minor chord. Actually, there's more than two, but there's two that are really frequently used. You've got your first chord, which is all the same keys, buttons, notes as are in the C scale. You've got your fourth chord, your four note, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is all white keys. It's all the same buttons as are used in the C scale. You got your five chord, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now in C, of course, that's C, F, and G. And probably most of you who can play anything at all on a guitar can list off a whole bunch of those progressions without thinking 1, 4, and 5. You only have you've got this stuff memorized. Okay, you got G, C, and D. Okay, you got E, A, and B. Although guitar players on 6 strings usually play a B7 because it's much easier and 7's always work there. You've got, what else is common? You got D, G, and A is another one. Okay, so if you start on a D note and you go 2, 3, 4 is a G, and 5 is an A. So you know those progressions just by memory. But they're always 1, 4, and 5. C note is 1, F note is 4, G note is 5. Now, if you go to the 6th note, there's your 5 note. If you go to the 6th note, which in the case of the key of C is an A, then you will have a chord that 2 out of the 3 notes in that chord are the exact same notes as are in your C major chord. There's your C major chord. Your 3 notes are C, E, and G. 1, 3, and 5. Okay, if you leave out that G and you start on your 6th note, your A, and then you play a C and an E, you have your relative minor. 2 of the same notes as your parent major scale added based on the 6th note. What makes that a minor? What makes it a minor is that the note which is the third note of the scale, I'm going to go back to the C here for a minute. There's our C chord. We've heard it a million times ever since Jeffy got over to this piano. If we take this note, which is our third, 1, 2, 3, and we step it down 1/2 step, we will get a minor chord. Now you can do that with any chord on your entire guitar, any chord on your entire piano, any chord in your entire life. If you take the note which is the third and you move it down by 1/2 step, you will get the relative minor chord. Okay, so what would be an A major chord? Well, it would actually be that. It would have a C sharp in it. And the reason is because the only place you can start and get this pattern of whole step, whole step, whoops, whole step, half step, whole step, half step, all out of white keys, is on the C note, because that's the way the pattern's laid out. It's the way the C major scale and the entire major scale concept works. If we were going to start on an A, since we're playing an A minor here, what would be an A major? How come? Okay, whole step goes to that white key, another whole step goes to that black key. Half step goes to that white key. Whole step goes to that white key. Another whole step goes to that black key, and another whole step goes to that black key, and our final half step goes to our A. So our A scale has a whole bunch of sharps in it. They're always either sharps or flats, and which way you talk about them, I don't know if I've gone through that yet, and I'm not going to go there right now, but they're called sharps in the A scale. Okay, so you got A, B, C sharp, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp. Now we need a half step, so that goes to our D. Now we need a whole step, so we jump over that black key. E. Now we need a whole step, so we jump to that black key. F sharp. We need another whole step, we jump to that black key. G sharp, A. So that would be our A major scale. A major chord would be A, C sharp, and E. But an A minor, you take your third and you step it down a half a step, and what makes that relative to a C chord is that two of those notes are the same two notes. Okay, so if I pick up that finger and put down this finger, that's why they call it the relative minor, because it's almost the same chord. And the relative minor is always made out of the sixth note in your scale, whatever scale it is. If you were playing in G, can you see that finger? Yes, okay. G, A, B, C, D, E. Now we need a whole step, and we only got a white key there, so we have to jump over it and go F sharp, G. Okay, well, how come a G chord works in the key of C if there's a F sharp in the G scale? Well, the reason is because we're only using 1, 3, and 5 of the G scale, and those are all also members of the C scale. Anytime you get this 1, 4, and 5 deal, all the notes out of the 4 chord and all the notes of the 5 chord are part of your original 1 major scale. So your F chord is all white keys, and your G chord is all white keys, and your C chord is all white keys. Okay, well, we can play an A chord, it's all white keys, except it winds up in A minor. But since it's all the same notes in our root scale, it works. There's another real handy chord, minor chord, that you can play by picking some note to start on and playing all the keys, buttons, notes that live in the C scale, and that's an E minor. So you're going to see a lot of A minors and a lot of E minors in songs that are in C, but it's always the 6 minor and the 3 minor, and only the 6 minor is your relative minor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is an A minor. 1, 2, 3 is an E minor. Those two minors work in the key of C. If you started in some other key, let's say you started in G. Okay, now you want a chord that is made up of the first note of your G chord and the third of your G scale, and is made up out of only those. So you're going to go to that one. Now you've got 1. See how that works? Up there, down there, up there, down there. Your E minor chord is your relative minor for the key of G. E is the 6th note in G. G, A, B, C, D, E. Magic. 7th note, octave note. Okay? Now, the other minor that you would use then would be your minor that's built on the third. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so if we were going to make that into a major chord, it would be 1, 3, whoops, 3. That's a minor. There's your major chord. The B scale, third note in G is B. The B scale is almost all black keys. Okay, but if we play that thing, that particular black key right there is in the G scale, because the G scale goes whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step. That thing's an F sharp, half step. So if we go with a B, we would go that note, and that note. We'd get a B major, but that note's not in the G scale. We need to stay with notes that are in the G scale to get a minor chord that works. So we want the first of the G scale, the third of the G scale, and the fifth to come out of the G scale. But in the terms of the B chord itself, we've taken that thing, that's our third note, and we've flatted it a half a step. So in all cases, without exception, you can make any major chord into a minor chord by taking the note which is the third, which in the chord, it's the second note in the chord, because your chord is always 1, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? So you take the note which is the third, which is the middle note in the chord, and you drop it down by half a step. There's an F minor. You can do that with any chord on your whole guitar, any chord on your piano. That's what makes a minor chord, is you reduce the third. And people will talk about the minor third. Okay, in the case of the key of A, there's your major chord. That's the major third. The minor third is the C natural. Anytime you're talking about a minor chord, you have taken the note which is the third and you have reduced it by a half a step. And anytime you want to know if a particular minor chord will work in a particular major scale you're playing in, the question is, are all the notes in that minor chord part of my major scale? All the white keys are part of the C scale. So any chord which is not a major chord, which you can make out of all white keys, is inherently a minor chord that will work. There's a D minor. You can actually make it work. Only rarely, because it's a funny chord. Because when you play two notes that are right side by side, they tend to hurt the ear. And so if you're playing a D minor and somebody else is playing a C major, those two notes are too close together, so they're going to tend to hurt your ear. So you have to be real careful. You can use a D minor like where there would be a G chord. But you have to be careful with that stuff. But you can always use the chord based on your sixth note, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you can always use the chord based on your third note, 1, 2, 3. They'll always be made up of all the same notes that are in your parent key, the scale you're playing in, the key you're playing in. So there's about 40,000 Bob Dylan songs that are written in the key of C, and they use an E minor and an A minor. You can go with something like All Along the Watchtower, which he never even hits the C chord in All Along the Watchtower. He's got 2/3 of it right there, and he uses that one. That's a kind of an upside down. Or that's a. You would start it. Typically, you'd put your A on the bottom, but All Along the Watchtower is just A. Let's see. F F G. So it's A minor, F F G. So it's 6 minor, 4, 5, and it goes over and over like 11,000 times. There must be some way out of here, said the joker to the thief. That's how come that trick works, is because that's 2/3 of a C chord. And your ear hears that and says, oh, that's a kind of a mysterious sound, but it still suits my mind. It's really, we're in the key of C here. Minors. Reduce the third by half a step from any place and you'll get a minor chord. Works on any chord. That's all. Thank you. Thanks for watching.